So we're going to jump in our jet, use our frequent flyer miles, find ourselves at LAX because USC is playing UCLA for the Victory Bell, and this is a rivalry that I got to grow up around. Game kicks at 8 Eastern, so 5 local time. And let me just say this. Going to this game as a kid, to put it simply, it is hostile in every single sense of the word. Like, I think the connotation around Pac-12 football is, yeah, it's kind of soft. You have fair weather fans because the beach is right there, and there's so much in LA to be excited about if your team isn't playing well. Like, I just want to make it very, very clear. When these teams play, everybody is bought in. That is the biggest show in town, especially when they're competitive like they are with 2 ranked teams. And USC finding themselves in the hunt for a Pac-12 title, absolutely, but a college football playoff berth if they handle their business. For UCLA, they're coming off a tough loss to Arizona. Didn't really see that coming. Chip Kelly and company would absolutely love. They would just revel in it if they could spoil this for USC. That's the kind of rivalry that we have ahead of ourselves. But UCLA, a very confident bunch. Chip Kelly, obviously disappointed with the loss, but they're not feeling like they need to feel sorry for themselves or hang their head too long. They're ready for USC, and they feel good about their chances. Hinge points in this game. Is the USC defense prepared to bring their hard hat and a lunch pail to this game? Now, what do I mean by that? This is going to be the kind of game where UCLA applies the pressure and forces a blue-collar sort of effort from this USC defense. It's going to be 4 quarters. They're going to run the football a lot at you, and they're going to make you have to rally up time in and time out to stop what they do offensively. Averaging 6.3 yards a carry, folks, that's good for best in the country. They do what they do it really effectively. On top of that, to complement the run game, they're so successful because of what they do in that read option game. You know it, and I know it. We've watched Chip Kelly for a long time as a play caller in his offenses. What he does to playmakers on the defensive side of the ball, instead of blocking them, he says, you know what? We're just going to read you. So whichever way you go, we'll take the ball the opposite way, and we'll let our quarterback just kind of toy with you all day long. So the guy to watch here for USC, if you're watching that read go down, more likely than not, it'll be their stud Tuli Tuipulotu. Absolute dog for them in that front 7, that defensive lineman. He had 2.5 sacks last week against Colorado. I promise you, Chip Kelly watched that tape, says, you know what? 49, we're going to read you all day. So that cat and mouse game will be a whole lot of fun to watch. The coaching point for me, if I'm USC's defensive coordinator, Alex Grinch, 2 things. Boys, got to play gap sound. Don't worry about doing everybody else's job around you. Do your job. Trust your read, trust your keys, and the ball is going to come to you. Win your one-on-one matchups and play gap sound. Because if you want to get out of position and try and play hero ball, well, this offense is designed to take advantage of that greed. Take advantage of your extra aggression. Before you know it, the RPO game is hitting, the counter is hitting. Like, just play gap sound. Things will be okay. The second point that I'd make, rally to the football. You do the pursuit drill every single week. Defensive players hate it, especially at this time of the year, because you're running from station to station, coach to coach, chasing an imaginary football. That has to be emphasized to the nth degree for USC in a game like this. Because like I just alluded to, if you don't rally to the football, they have a running back in Charbonnet who is a really tough physical runner, and Dorian Thompson-Robinson at quarterback. When he gets in space, they are elusive. They like to play in space, does this offense at UCLA. And if they can play in space and kind of have their way and play that cat and mouse game with you, it's going to be a long day for the Trojans. So those coaching points and that whole matchup, the cat and mouse within that front 7 with Chip Kelly and DTR in the read option game, something to watch for. UCLA likes to run to set up the pass. That would allow them to be balanced. And obviously, if they're able to stay balanced, you would imagine UCLA is then scoring points. Something to keep an eye on. Second thing I'm watching in this game, the perimeter war with UCLA's defense. Last week against Arizona, I watched the tape. Arizona pretty much just got what they wanted on the perimeter against UCLA. And when I say perimeter, I mean they're throwing a bubble screen to the outside. You got a receiver blocking a corner. You got a slot receiver with the football. Or maybe it's a jet sweep with the running back going outside and the tight end on a safety, whatever it is. They just dominated them. From a physicality standpoint, they just took whatever they wanted with that UCLA defense on the perimeter. So UCLA needs to come with, a little bit of extra aggression, a little bit of hot sauce in the Wheaties, if you're catching what I'm saying. Like, there needs to be a little bit of an attitude to try and stop that kind of a run game on the outside. Because the trenches for UCLA is solid. If they can't rally up and run support on the outside, USC has the playmakers, the physical playmakers, to make it tough on you. Kyle Ford, a guy to watch. I mean, he is built like an action figure. Whether he's running the football, whether he's blocking, he's going to be a problem for them at the receiver position if they don't, like I said, come with a little bit of oomph against this USC offense, because they like to get the ball in space, like to get the ball on the outside. Looking back towards what USC does running the football, no Travis Dye for them. Heartbreaking loss for the USC Trojan program. Got hurt last week against Colorado, got rolled up on. Austin Jones is now RB1 for them. He will see the lion's share of the carries. Is he able to keep this offense on schedule and cause those safeties to have to roll up so you can get the ball outside? Because there's a little bit of supply and demand when it comes to running the football and creating matchups on the outside. If you're not running the ball effectively, as a defense, we don't have to respect anything else in terms of allocating more resources to stopping the run. We can just play our base defense and stop you. And then when you throw the ball out there, well, that's great. We have all our guys in position already to stop that kind of pass game. So running the football will be a key to unlocking that perimeter game for USC, if you're catching my drift. But if UCLA doesn't figure it out, they're going to be playing catch-up all day, because USC will score on any and every drive they have success on the perimeter. Goes without saying. So here's the last thing I'm looking at, and it's potentially the most important. What happens when Caleb Williams ad-libs and gets off schedule? And he's playing on the West Coast now, so it's unfortunate. A lot of his games for some of y'all is later in the day, and it's understandable. But the Pac-12, the whole Pac-12 After Dark thing, that happens later in the day, so we don't see as much of Caleb Williams rolling through our highlight tape at halftime. But I'm telling you, the dude goes to work. And when the play breaks down, arguably is when he's at his best. Kind of a mix of Patrick Mahomes and good Johnny Manziel at A&M. Like, he gets off script, keeps his eyes downfield, and his receivers, the talented ones, get very much open, and they go to work. So when he does, start to ad-lib, how does UCLA respond to that? Because last week, I think Arizona laid the blueprint. Jaden DeLora, when he got off schedule, had a day. Threw for about 315 yards, widened that defense to allow the vertical stuff to start hitting. Like, they would work the perimeter, and then once they got what they wanted on the perimeter, you would start to see those linebackers widen out, and when you get off schedule and your defense is already widened, guess what? Middle of the field, very much wide open for USC. So, right now, Caleb Williams, 31 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. I'm curious to see if this is the kind of game where maybe the interception bug bites him a little bit. Because you and I both know, whenever a quarterback breaks contain, starts to ad-lib, there is 2 potentials that become much more possible. One, potential for a big play, because DB's looking all around, and it's hard to stay plastered to a receiver for the duration of 5 to 6 seconds. But the other potential that grows is, well, hey, the play is outside of its structure right now. Like, whatever route you were running before, you just broke it off, and you're now scrambling with me. So that unknown variable also makes for more tipped passes, receivers and quarterbacks not being on the same page, errant throws. So if those equate to turnovers, well, then we're going to have ourselves a very interesting ball game for USC. Because you're spotting this offense for UCLA, a couple more possessions, something you don't want to do, especially when it's at their house in the Rose Bowl. I don't know what it'll be split. Maybe it's 50-50, maybe it's not, but you feed more ammo to the home crowd. Not what you want to do. Needless to say, not what you want to do for USC. So my prediction for this game, I think it's back and forth. I really do. I think we see a lot of offense. 2 of the best offensive minds in college football, and Lincoln Riley and Chip Kelly going toe-to-toe in a new city. Going to be a whole lot of fun. Jordan Addison is expected to be 100% in this game. Really his first time in the last few weeks we've been able to see him at 100%. I think he makes his presence very much felt in this game. I think he and Caleb Williams' chemistry shows itself in a big way. And I think USC wins this game in dramatic fashion, 34-31. The Trojans take the Liberty Bell to, I was going to say Los Angeles, but I guess they're both in Los Angeles. They take it back to USC's campus, to the Coliseum. But bottom line, we have USC winning that game. Should be a whole lot of fun. A rivalry game before rivalry weekend. We love it. USC wins. They get the victory bell. Hey, y'all. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.